Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Ocean's Pit, the little show about big things, Monday to Friday at noon, lunchtime fun. I hope you guys are having a great day. It's a little nippy out there here in the Chicagoland area, but I'm glad you guys are either watching here or enjoying us your lunch hour, whether you're watching us on the Tony Ocean Show Facebook page, on the Mo Carraro Facebook page. We're on LinkedIn. We're on YouTube. We are on Twitter or X. Instagram. You can watch us all. That's Ocean's Pit 5 days a week, Monday to Friday by noon. Check the website, TonyOceanMusic.com, and give us a call at 847-769-8609 to book a show. Every show is dedicated to the first responders, all our friends, of course, from the military. Thank you so much, and all our veterans fighting for our country and making America great again. And we got a great show lined up today. Today is Wednesday, January 15th. I got a longtime friend. His name is Ron Fabiani, is joining us today, a Chicagoland police officer since 1987 in the Melrose Park area. He's been all over. He's also been a homicide detective, a gang guy. He's been at all. Then he's, of course, he moved to little television with his TV show, Paranormal Cops on A&E. We'll talk a little bit about that. He dabbles with guitars, music, etc. We're going to have a lot of fun here on Ocean's Pit. It's showtime, everybody. Let's go to work. Oh, thank you so much, Dino Manzella. Used to be, of course, with Seventh Heaven for that great intro. I hope you guys are having a great day today. We have so much to talk about, so much fun going on today. I'm excited, but let's get right to the point. We're talking about our good friends from Ace Hardware. Ace is the place. Buy local, shop local. Norridge, Des Plaines, Evergreen Park, Warrenville, Mesa, Arizona. Those are all the stores right there, folks. It's cold outside and the salt is trending. All JRC Ace Hardware stores in the Chicagoland area are stocked with salt. 50-pound bags of ice melter is only $10.99, and a 50-pound bag of rock salt is only $9.99. We didn't forget about your furry friends. They also have pet-safe salt options. And they have the best deals when it comes to snowblowers. It's supposed to be snowing this weekend. So Snowblowers Toro 821, it's a QZE single-stage snowblower, is only $8.99. If you go to the competitors, Lowe's, Home Depot, and Russo Power, they're $9.49. $8.99 for that. They're here to bring you the best product at the best price. That's our good friends from Ace Hardware. Ace is the place. Buy local, shop local, helping neighbors before they were neighborhoods. Our good friends from Ace Hardware. All right. So much also, folks, we just celebrated, of course, me and my lovely wife yesterday celebrated 7 years of marriage. 8 years together, 7 years of marriage. We hardly ever go out because, I work Wednesday through Sunday. If I have Mondays and Tuesdays, I don't remember the last time me and my wife actually went out. I mean, she came out to my birthday show on the 28th, and we were together New Year's Eve. But usually it's very hard for us to do anything. But it was nice. We went out. And then, of course, where do you go? There's so many places to go. Sometimes I'd like to go where I have not been in a long time, or a place that's new. And we tried Wildfire in Schaumburg. We had some great dinner, a couple cocktails, but back at home by 9 o'clock. So it was a great time. So again, it was a lot of fun doing that. Now we got a busy, busy week. Now, also want to thank Carol Brandolino from yesterday, Twisted Tuesday, which is with us on Tuesday. And next Tuesday will be 1 year that Twisted Tuesday, that I hooked up with Carol for Twisted Tuesday. She's my co-host on Tuesdays. And next Tuesday it's going to be, she's going to ask me anything. So I don't know. It's going to be unfiltered like the show usually is. So that's going to be next Tuesday. Now, tomorrow, of course, is Thursday. That bring my lovely wife, Laura Ocean, as my co-host. And Friday, Chicagoland singer, my good friend, Stephanie Lemonbragner, is going to be with us on Friday. So a lot of stuff. And today, Coming up very shortly, my good friend Ronnie Fabiani, for many, many years, Chicagoland police officer, paranormal cop on A&E at his show. So I'm excited talking about him. We have not talked in a while. In fact, I probably haven't seen him since I did his wedding years ago. So it's nice to talk about. He'll be on very shortly. Also, folks, let's get to some other great stories to talk about. Tonight, folks, we will be at Bugsy's in McHenry. Now, me and Jerry Jams will be there. That is a 6 o'clock hit, 6 to 9 tonight. Come on out. It's going to be fun. Rhino and Melissa do a great job over there. I don't know how much longer they'll be there, folks. I know they might be moving at the end of the month, but this could be the last thing they have over there. So I'm proud to be there tonight. 6 to 9 with my good buddy Jumpin' Jerry Jams. That is tonight. Now, tomorrow we're going all the way to Burridge. Gigi's Are We Live? Great restaurant, Capri, of course, and right next door is the nightclub. Tomorrow we're there, me and double Jerry Jams. That's a 7 o'clock hit. That's tomorrow night. Friday, Chicago Prime Steakhouse in Schaumburg with Double T, Tony Toto. That's an 8 o'clock hit. Saturday, we'll be at the Bocce International Dinner Show in Highwood, Illinois. That is sold out. That dinner show Saturday is sold out. Meet Jerry Jams and Tony Toto. And then Sunday, Ron Onesti's Club Arcata Speakeasy for Rat Pack Sunday, 3:30 showtime. Me and Double T, oshows.com for that tickets for that show this Sunday. Let's get to another sponsor, folks. Real estate. We're talking about Mary Grievous Real Estate, Berkshire Hathaway Real Estate, folks. That's right. Don't just call her when you're ready to buy or sell. Call her when you're considering buying or selling. She's your forever agent. That's Mary Grievous. Mary Grievous at starkre.com. Give her a call at 630-688-1725. She's available to buyers, sellers, for sale by owners, expired listings. That is Mary Grievous at Berkshire Hathaway Stark Real Estate, M. Grievous at starkre.com, or give her a call at 630-688-1725. And then, if you're talking about Mary Grievous when it comes to real estate, how about talking about Mary Grievous with the Chicago Music Cruise? Oh, you guys missed the cruise in January of 2024. This one is going to be even better, folks, in 2025. We're talking about the Royal Caribbean Cruise Line. We're talking about Oasis of the Seas. We're talking about March 22nd to March 30th. During spring break, we're talking about 8 days on the water, baby, compared to the last one was only 6 days. This is 8 days. It's going to be fun, and give you the lineup that's going to be joining us. Scott Childers from WGN will be there. Wendy Thompson with her tribute to Britney Spears and Marilyn Monroe. Mojo's Jukebox, my new rock band, of course. How about the Jersey Girls? All three of them will be joining us. Tony Ocean and the Main Event Band will be on that ship. Frankie Boom Boom Hollywood Rodriguez will be spinning the hits. Hillbilly Rock Stars, the #1 country band in the city of Chicago. And the ringleaders themselves, Seventh Heaven, all of us, 8 days. Go to ChicagoMusicCruise.com. Pick up the phone. Call Mary at 630-688-1725 and say, hey, I want to be on the ocean with Ocean. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to be a lot of fun. We really do enjoy doing these cruises. It's a lot of fun if you ever get a chance to. You're watching Ocean's Pit, little show about big things. So much to talk about, so much stuff. Woo-woo! One more sponsor. Don't forget, in a couple more minutes, Ron Fabiani will be joining us. So let's get right to Imperialux. What is Imperialux? I'm going to tell you what Imperialux is. Imagine putting your money to work for you, becoming your own bank, and making your dream of retirement a reality with guaranteed lifetime income. Wendy Thompson and Craig Coughlin help you create personal pensions, grow your wealth, secure your legacy. It's never too late to start. Take charge of your financial future today. Give them a call at 630-890-1213 or book on Calendly for a free consultation and start building the retirement you deserve. It's that simple. Pick up the phone and call 630-890-1213, and they will help you become your own bank. Imperialux. Thank you, Imperialux, for joining us here and our sponsor here on Ocean's Pit. Oh, boy. So with so much stuff to talk about and so much stuff to do. I know this weather is there, and I know some keep you, oh, it's too cold. We don't want to go out. It's amazing how many people still leave the house. Older people still leave the house and go out, while younger people sit home and go, it's too cold. We don't want to go out. Our generation has definitely got a little wimpy. I'm sorry to say. Definitely got a little wimpy, folks. But let's listen to who's watching today. Dennis, all the way from Lake Geneva. Richard Hamlin's in the house. Angelo from Yorkville, Ohio, buddy. Can't wait to see you when we're in Warren, Ohio, coming up in a couple months in the summer, of course. Hope you guys are doing well. Ronnie B, Jeanette, Linda, welcome. Vince Ramundi. Buddy is in the house. Sal, what's up, buddy? I hope you're doing well. We got Indianapolis in the house. We got Indiana. Jill is in the house. Former Chicago Honey Bear. Hello, Kathy Eppolito, all the way from Santa Barbara, California. There is my good buddy Brian, hanging out at the Humidor Lounge. How you doing, Brian? I hope you're doing well. Albert from the Rhino Nesty organization. Erica. Oh, boy, it's nice seeing all you wonderful people on Ocean's Pit today. Got a great show coming up in just a couple minutes. Let's talk about a couple other things too, folks. Very important. Big shows coming up next Wednesday, the 29th. Well, 2 weeks from now, actually, next Wednesday. Because next week, we don't have too many shows. And you know why? Because Thursday is a rehearsal dinner. Our son's getting married on next Saturday. Friday, we will be at Chicago Prime Steakhouse. But, of course, the 25th, my son, Tony, and Ange are getting married, our son. So I haven't had a Saturday off, and I don't remember how long I had a Saturday off. So I'm excited for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. But on the 29th, we will be at Rosario's in Roselle. That's going to be me and Double T Tony Toto. On the 30th, going back, there's Postatanos in Oak Brook with Jerry Jams. And we just found out Lisa P is back from Florida, so she'll be joining us on that show. Ocean's Rat Pack, a lot of stuff going on. Valentine's Day, you got no plans? Get yourself to the south side of Chicago. We'll be at 115 Bourbon Street in Marionette Park. That's Ocean's Rat Pack. On the 19th, that show is almost sold out, folks. We're going to be at the Tap House Grill in Lamont, Illinois, concert for the homeless. And we want all you people, like you did last time, to bring your coats, jackets, scarves, hats, mittens, water, hand sanitizer. Me and my buddy Danny Nozak doing this show at the Tap House in Lamont. Stephanie Lemonberger will be there. Lulu Sylvester will be there. Ron Starr will be there. John Vincent will be there. Double T Tony Toto. Yours truly is the MC. And we're going to have a lot more people stopping by. So all you have to do is bring some clothes, hand sanitizers, water, whatever we can give to the homeless, and we will personally go out and hand out those things to the homeless, which really needs it. So that's February 19th. On the 22nd of February, we're going to Pier 290 back to Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, Ocean's Pit. Ocean's a Rat Pack dinner show. We sold out last year. Let's do it again this year. And the 27th of February, we'll be back at Ron Onesti's Club Arcada Speakeasy on a Thursday night for Ocean's Rat Pack dinner show. A lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff coming up, and we're so excited. 67 more days till the cruise, everybody, and 5 more days till President Donald Trump takes office. We are so excited. I know I am. Some people are not happy, but I know we're happy. So that's all that matters. A couple more minutes. We're going to bring up my good buddy, folks. But before we do that, let's get one more sponsor, folks, before we bring on Ron. We're talking about Jack Vena Landscaping. Jack Vena Landscaping at its finest, folks. I love these companies because they're mom and pa owned. Buy local, shop local. Our good friends from Jack Vena Landscaping, they offer monthly maintenance programs, bush trimming, spring and fall cleanup, bed mulching, fertilizing, weed control. They offer plant design service, installation, fall gutter cleanup. What about servicing the North Shore for 44 years? That's Jack Vena Landscaping. Call Cousin Tommy at 847-432-5266 and tell him Tony Ocean sent you. Heard you on Ocean's Pit. They give you great deals. Remember, Ocean's Pit is Monday to Friday at noon. All right, so without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's bring up my guest. You know, we have guests on Wednesdays and Fridays, so I'm excited. This gentleman, Ron Fabiani, I've known since we were young. We're kids, you know, And we never were really that close, but we knew of each other in different bands and stuff like that. Of course, he was good friends with my buddy Kurt Savino. I guess Kurt's watching. What's up, buddy? So it's amazing how that circle just goes. And I've not seen Ron and his lovely wife in a while. I know I did their wedding. So it's nice to have Ronnie on the show. And he's got a pretty good background of being a Chicagoland police officer, homicide, involved with gangs, auto theft. Yeah, right now, he's a DuPage Forest Preserve police officer. Very cool, taking care of that. So he's got a lot of stuff. Also, he had a TV show called Paranormal Cops on A&E. So without any further ado, I think it's time to bring on local boy himself, my good buddy, Ron Fabiani. Ron, how you doing, sir?
Mo, how you doing, pal? Good to see you.
Hey, hello there. To see you. Good afternoon. How are you doing? Where are you at? Are you at home? Were you on vacation? Where are you at?
I start work at 2:00. I'm not necessarily an early riser. I work 2 to midnight out here in the beautiful county of DuPage. This is my subsequent career after retirement from Stone Park. So I'm out here, and it's more of a rural agency, kind of, to me anyway, coming from Melrose Park. It's a relaxed atmosphere, and it's not on Mannheim Road at all.
No, it's not. But Ron Fabiani, let's start. Let's go right to the top before we talk about all your stuff. Where were you born, Ronnie?
I beg your pardon. What was the question?
Where were you born?
I'm born in Melrose Park, Westlake Hospital. It doesn't exist anymore, and back in the early '60s, and that's where I got my chops and started learning how to play music after looking at my older cousin Joey Battelli, who was a guitar player, and he influenced me, not on purpose, but I wanted to be like him. He was cool. He had a cool car, cool friends, cool hair, and I wanted to do that.
Well, that was one of the next questions. Is that who influenced you being in music? But who also influenced you, a police officer, besides your dad, grandfather? Was everybody involved in the police department?
So funny, my cousin Joey Battelli, his father was Lefty Battelli, who was a lieutenant in Melrose Park. He started on the job there in, I believe, 1947. And he was larger than life. And he worked the midnight shift, as far as, my recollection was. And I was intrigued that he lived life kind of upside down. He would wake up at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and that was morning to him. And he'd come out in my Aunt Vi's kitchen and with his robe on and have a cup of coffee or whatever. And I was just perplexed by this. Now, next door to them was a guy, Johnny Bolahanis. He was a cop. He influenced my decision making and my direction in life. Down the street was a guy, Harpo, Gary Montino. He was a cop. So on one block, and I talked about this with Kurt, on one block, the 1500 block of 21st Avenue in Melrose Park, were musical influences and police influences on one block. And my grandmother lived on that block. And again, my Uncle Lefty and my Aunt Vi. I lived on the next street over. And that's where everything was. It was like a buffet of influence on one block.
So you a lot of influence around you. Ron, growing up Italian, did you have a big family, or do you have a big family?
Extended. I'm an only child. Extended family. When I grew up on my dad's side of the family, I could walk to every one of my aunts or uncles' houses, all within walking distance. Everybody stayed in Melrose Park. One aunt did move to Fort Lauderdale, but on my mom's side of the family, they're from Forest Park. And again, where my grandmother and grandfather lived, I could walk to my aunts and uncles' houses there. But me, myself, I'm an only child. But extended family, yes, very large.
You had a big one. Being Italian, growing up in Melrose Park, for some people that might not know that feeling, Ronnie, tell me shortly, what was Melrose Park like growing up as a kid?
I would say that it had its own culture, very Chicagoland-ish, very neighborhood feeling. Everybody kind of knew each other, or you were a relative of someone once removed. There was a safe and hometown type feeling growing up there. You felt protected. Again, there wasn't a whole lot of diversity, to be honest with you. Everyone was the same or similar in one way or another. And I had friends that weren't Italian, but they had the same kind of attitude that I did. They had the same kind of personality that I did. So it didn't matter if you were Irish or German or Polish or whatever. If you were a neighborhood, you're a neighborhood guy.
You were okay. Yeah, same thing with me. You guys were from Melrose Park. I was from Elmwood Park. And, there was always a little tension between the
Yes.
two towns. I do remember, but that's just normal back growing up. When did you leave Melrose Park? Was it hard for you to leave? And why did you move where you move now?
Well, it was hard to leave. And I left a long time ago and I went back. I'm a 60-year-old man. I've lived life. I've been a policeman since 1987. We get divorced, and getting married and divorced a couple times can steer the direction of your life and where it takes place. So first
Sure.
ex-wife was from Elmwood Park, and I'm from Melrose Park, and
Yep.
she didn't want to live in either town, and I would have never left Melrose, but we ended up going out to Bartlett, which I never even heard of at the time, and then I got divorced. I went right back to the old neighborhood in Melrose, and
Yeah. Yeah.
things change too. I always kid my friends from Elmwood Park that Elmwood Park's a suburb of Melrose, but
Yeah.
you guys got better restaurants overall. But as neighborhoods change, and people fade away, and your stomping grounds vanish slowly over time. Restaurants are gone. The feel is gone. A lot of people my age and stuff, they moved away. And, so for the last time I moved from Melrose when I retired from Stone Park in 2016. And I'm up in DuPage now. But I go back there all the time.
You go back there all the time. And, when I mentioned Melrose Park, some people, the only thing they know about Melrose Park was the feast.
Right. Well,
The feast was like the biggest thing.
That's
right.
Yeah.
I mean, people have no clue. People can come from all over for this particular thing. Everybody would be out dressed to the tilt to go walk in a field with dirt. And, we'd be going from one stand to the other. And and it's a typical thing, it was almost like the movie Bronx Tale. I think it was Bronx Tale, the movie where one group of guys all hang on one side. They're all walking in together, and they see another group of guys, and they go, look at those pieces of shits over there. Oh, let's go over there and say hi. Right? I mean, it was crazy. Yeah, and that was an incredible feast, and it was, everybody still talks about it. Melrose Park has changed, and all of a sudden now, police officer in 1987.
Yeah.
What was it like the first time, Ronnie, putting a uniform on? Well, what about your first arrest? Tell us what was that all
Well, here, I started out as what's called a community service officer. You're not a cop, you're a civilian. You handle low priority calls. I started that in Hinsdale. I didn't know what Hinsdale was, and that was 1985. I left there and went to Maywood as a part-time policeman, but I worked 6 days a week, 8 hours a day. So they got 48 hours of work out of a part-time guy, which means they didn't have to pay my insurance or into a pension. But what I got from working 48 hours a week in Maywood was a lifetime of experience. I was there 2 years, and just over the railroad tracks of Melrose where I grew up. But talk about nonstop, and I was on permanent midnights, and that's where a different element of people seem to surface wherever you're a cop at. And if you're on a
I love the words that you use.
Yeah, you're a midnight cop.
Good fun. I like that.
You have something in common because whether you're a bad guy or a good guy, neither of you are asleep when everyone else should be. So you have that in common. Yeah. And there's also like a bit of a code, a street code, if you will, to where you can kind of speak the same language, although you're on opposite ends of the spectrum. In Maywood, still to this day. Now, I left there in 89 and went to Stone Park. Years later, I became a homicide detective for the West Suburban Major Crimes Task Force. And now 9 years, I'm in the Forest Preserve, where sadly we have a lot of suicides. I still have not seen as many dead bodies as I did in the 2 years I worked in Maywood. And that's nothing to be happy about. It was the experience that I think helped to shape me and get me acclimated to what this profession had in store moving forward, wherever you're a cop at. But Maywood, midnight shift, very, very busy, very, very active. No time to really be proactive. You're reactive because the calls don't stop coming in. At that time, we didn't have car computers. We didn't have
Yeah.
cameras. We didn't have GPS. What you wrote in your report, your version, was gold. Nobody questioned you. You get second
Yeah.
guessed by an administrator or the state's attorney's office. And I enjoyed working there. I really, really did. I was getting married at the time, and at that time, Maywood had a residency requirement, which didn't bother me as an individual at all. But at the time, again, with my first ex-wife, she said absolutely not. She didn't want to live in Melrose or Elmwood Park or Maywood. She wanted to go, out west, where
Yeah.
new construction, all of this jazz. So you got to go with, you got to be considerate. I suppose.
You got to go with your go. Now, Ron, did you have to, being not, okay, so you moved to a different town. Being an officer, you have to live in the town that you're in. Is that correct?
That's very rare nowadays. I think Cicero still has that, I think, and Melrose Park still has that. Other than that, that's gone by the wayside. I went to Stone Park.
Even does Rosemont, do you have to live in
Rosemont,
Rosemont to be a police
Yeah,
officer?
Rosemont, you got to live. Those guys are half firemen, half cops, half the time. Too.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I went to Stone Park. They had a radius, like a 25-mile radius you could live. So that was fine. It gives you options. You're not painted into a corner with you can only pick what block you want to live on within the town. And here's the thing too. What I came to realize was this. People think that if the cops live in the town that they work in, that they're going to do a better job. I saw the opposite of that, because if there's a bad guy running around, a burglar running around, and we know who he is, cops that might live across the alley from him, they don't want to catch him, because then he's going to go burn their garage down. If you live farther from where you work, you don't give a shit. You're going to, who the bad guys are, you're going to arrest bad guys. There's without fear of, retaliation.
Right. Now, well, that makes sense. And you know what? Compared to when you guys were cops, now we were just going to talk briefly about this. Ron Fabiani is with us, folks. Former Chicagoland police officer, and he was involved in, of course, homicide, gang streets. I mean, compared to the criminal, I don't know if you say this now, but it seems like the world is a hell of a lot more crazier than it was back when we were younger. And now, back in 2020, when March in 2020, when the cops started getting all the rules changed, Ron, and you talking to your fellow police officers and other police officers, how did that make you feel?
Well, just to back up.
And it's still going on to this day.
It is. Just to back up for 1 second, a lot of people asked me when that show, the TV show Cops, came on to TV. A lot of people were like, wow, the world's getting crazy. And people say it today. Well, no, it isn't. It's the same as it ever was. It's just that now there's more access for people to have a front row seat and view it with the internet, or with TV shows that have dashboard cameras or a camera crew in a car. Nothing really has changed from that aspect. As far as what you're talking about with 2020 and maybe a bad or questionable shooting or something caught on tape that doesn't look right. Listen, when things are justifiable and they are within policy and they are within the law, okay, and someone resists or doesn't cooperate or doesn't follow commands, it never looks good. Audibly, optics, it never looks good. Okay. Now that you have more and more and more untrained eyes watching what is sadly day-to-day commonplace for us, you have a lot more opinions. You have the media chiming in more and more and more. The more access that we provide. That's not to say it's okay to conceal bad police work. That's not what I'm saying. But when people are now, the peanut gallery chiming in left and right about everything they see and they don't agree with, well, you don't do this line of work. We are not obligated. If I'm going to an emergency call, to stop and tell everybody who wonders where I'm going, I'm not obligated to stop and notify them where I'm going. Jesus.
Yeah.
But people kind of feel entitled, and our younger generation feels entitled. And a lot of people, the softer they get, the more entitled they feel. And the society is as soft as puppy shit.
You can't get more soft than the way the society is growing right now. You're absolutely right. Ron Fabiani is with us, folks. We're going to talk a little bit more about cops. We're going to talk about the paranormal TV show he had on A&E coming up, his guitars, music, and stuff. But before that, you know what it's time for? It's for the Ace Minute. So let's get right to Ace Hardware real fast, folks. It's time for the weather. That's right. Today's weather is sponsored by the Ace Minute, brought to you by the JRC Ace Hardware stores. Today is Wednesday, January 15th, and today's weather is 5 degrees outside, folks. It feels like it's -4. It is sunny. It is cold. Humidity is 76 degrees, 5 miles per hour wind. The air quality is good. It's just one of those days in January. That's the weather, brought to you by the Ace Minute, brought to you by JRC Ace Hardware stores, helping neighbors before they were neighborhoods. All right. Our good friend, of course, Ron Fabiani is on with us, folks. Ronnie, okay, police officers, now you're going into television. Paranormal, first of all, before that, whatever incident, we'll ask you what made you get involved in this, but before that, would you have ever believed in some kind of paranormal stuff?
Well,
and you still do now?
I had a little curiosity in the back of my mind, probably always. If you ask people that knew me as a child, I was always kind of intrigued. My grandmother on my mom's side lived down the street from a graveyard in Forest Park, and that's where you went and played. Ride your bikes and this and that. I was intrigued by it. I didn't look at it as something creepy. I looked at it as a serene place that, there wasn't a lot of traffic, so you could ride your bikes or play, as kids, and we would play in a graveyard. But what had occurred was I went to a call at a bar, and at the time it was called Noah Noah on one night, where they would play Mexican type music. Then it would be called Nitro. And then it would be called Club Energy on other nights. Same building, same place. It's on Lake Street. Now it's called Gold Club Chicago or something like that. Anyway, there was a guy working the door there. Mexican guy, tough guy. Juan, not afraid of anything. And he was very, very intimidated by things he was experiencing at night when it was empty and he was cleaning up and locking up. And he's the only guy in there. So I listened to him, and I went back with a night vision camcorder. Not that that's a requirement for anything, but put his mind at ease. Whatever. I'm going to film it, walk around, try and satisfy him, just to, calm the guy down. And I'm not going to film nothing. There's nothing here. But I ended up filming something that I couldn't explain. And it had the consistency of like a woman's nylon, where it's see-through, but it's not see-through. And it interacted with me. It was like a 3-dimensional black mass shadow. And I took the camera back to the police station. I played it I don't know how many times. And the more I watched it, the more I realized this doesn't make sense. So I'd return there and try and replicate that, come to a logical conclusion. And every time I left there, I left with something new. So I got to thinking that if things like this were happening at that location, they might be happening elsewhere. And I wanted to put together a paranormal investigative group of cops, because we understand the preservation of a crime scene. We understand how to conduct an investigation. We understand evidence and the value and the custody of evidence and things like this. So we started doing, reports of hauntings and stuff in the Chicago area to try and find a logical explanation. And once that all common sense things are removed, you see what you're left with. And we would do not self-initiated. We wouldn't invite ourselves into a creepy building and say, hey, can we investigate this?
Yeah, correct. These were on calls. People called you. People send you information.
Right.
Yeah. And you had a group of guys. How many guys in your group?
You know what? The numbers would change depending on who was on duty or who was off duty on certain days, and who's interested and who's creeped out or who thinks that we're nuts. But I did this for a while, and I ended up merging with another guy who was a cop in Elk Grove Village at the time. He reached out to me because we had a website up. Chicago Paranormal Detectives was the name of the group. And he said, how about we merge, we get together, and we present this to the TV industry? And I wasn't even interested, but we ended up pursuing that because, of course, that's never going to happen. That's a pipe dream. And we ended up getting a medium She came from all the way from Galena. Her name's Mariah Rain. She's the best there is, in my opinion. And it got traction. It got legs. At the time, there was a TV show being filmed at O'Hare Towing in Northlake on Manheim Road called Wrecked. And I called over there. I says, "Who's your production company?" They gave me the number. One of our guys called the production company. And I think the next day we had a contract signed with the production company, which exclusive rights to us in order to shop it around to a network. And in that 6-month window, we got picked up by A&E that ordered 6 episodes. And A&E was very smart in hiring freelance producers that had made prior successful paranormal shows. Mark Marinaro was one guy's name. The other guy was Matt Hoban. These are successful guys with a very long resume in successful TV series. And we only filmed 6 episodes because that's all that A&E ordered initially. And they were all filmed in Chicagoland. They were all real cases, none in the city limits. They were all in the suburbs, just suburbs. And our first episode was in Melrose Park, my hometown, at a location at 25th Avenue and Lake Street. And the show did well. It aired January 19th of 2010, so 15 years ago. And it was nationwide, including Canada and Mexico on that day. And dates after that, there's a little lag time, and then it's seen in like all through Europe, all over the place. And to this day, it continues to air on Amazon Prime and Tubi, but it's been on Netflix and other platforms, streaming services. People buy DVD and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Interesting stuff, though. And most of the cases that you were on, most of them were actually legit. Well, you find out some weird, people actually believe, it's mind-boggling to me that people think we are the only people in this country or in this world. There's more other stuff going on. And Ron, you're just proof positive when you went out there. How many were actually fake and how much was actually real?
Well, we would try and, work through the make sure we have legitimate people contacting us and there's legitimate claim. You only do that by looking at the person that calls you. When I would go to a homicide, you got a dead body there. The first thing you do is run a criminal history on the victim. I got to know who this guy is. I got to know his background, because you can't just ask the family and friends, because they only know about him what he chose to share. I need to know who he really was. So we would investigate the people that called us. First and foremost, is this person off their rocker? If it's a restaurant or a bar, are they just trying to capitalize on having us give them exposure, or is there really something on? Because we wanted it to be worth our time and effort. All of the cases on TV were real. There was one of the 6 that we determined there was no paranormal activity at all. And that's fine. That's what you want to do, process of elimination, and come to a conclusion that we can all hang our hat on and agree at the end collectively. When you connect the dots, what do we have? Now, 5 of the 6, there was paranormal activity going on. And people think right away, demonic, negative. Oh my God, it's something trying to hurt me. And we didn't come across that at all. There were some cases where we were swore at. We were threatened by what were called EVPs, electronic voice phenomena. Like, I don't know whose voice it is, but it's just not anybody who's there recording.
Right.
And people would say, "Oh, is that demonic?" I said, "You know what? If you're an asshole in life, you're probably an asshole in the afterlife." But we would be spoken to negatively and things, and we would do a little prayer before and after, because you don't know. It's the unknown. Nobody knows. Nobody knows, even if there's proof that these things exist. It's paranormal, which just means not normal. Doing this work caused me to rethink everything I thought I knew, and that's why I devoted.
Ron, what about your family and coworkers and friends and going, Ron, are you sure? You should be doing this. What's going on with this? You had to have some slack.
There was some of that. Of course there was. But overall, I felt very comfortable in my skin and the role that I took and the approach that we took. You have to be open-minded, but not so open-minded that your brain falls out when you lean forward. You can't be closed-minded. I can't walk in a room and sense a presence or anything like that. I'm not the psychic medium person. I'm looking for hard evidence. And if it can't be recorded on video or audio, then it's just a personal experience. People would say, I smell bananas, or I get the feeling somebody's watching me. Well, I can't record that. So there's no data to corroborate that. I can't count that.
That makes a lot of sense. Ron Fabiani with us, folks, former Chicagoland police officer, also from the show Paranormal Cops. Ron, and then also let's go back a little bit, how our history met together. Now, if some people have been talking about Stone Park, talking about Mannheim Road, people back then, it was a place called Charades Bar. It was one of my very first shows I ever performed with my band called Tyranny, and your father, a great man, gave a lot of start to a lot of great bands that come out of the city of Chicago. And I know that's how, let's talk about how you got into music. I was watching your clip with you and Kurt, which was actually very cool. I love the way the camaraderie that you guys have. I hope you guys do more of that. And so playing music and stuff like that. What was it like going into that bar, knowing your dad, at that age, you're sneaking in, you're seeing some great bands. What was that kind of feeling?
Well, that bar was originally my uncle Lefty Batelli's. He ran that and under a different name, and he passed in, I think, 76. And then my dad took it over. We would work, Kurt and I and our buddy Ron Jones, we would work the door there on the weekends. We're 13, 14, 15 years old, and we're checking IDs at a bar, sounds nuts. But we did. And then we had a band, and we were inspired by a bunch of local bands that played there, including you. And that started playing there a lot. And I'm sure that people I went to school with at that time weren't doing the things I was doing. We were getting in bar fights and playing music. And, I think Charade Lounge closed at 4 a.m. on the weekends, at least. So we'd be there, all hours of the night, and living probably a very unorthodox lifestyle for people our age. But,
Sure.
it had an impact on me, again, embracing nightlife. I enjoyed that. And looking and learning and listening to other musicians live and in person, like Kurt talked about when we did our video a couple of weeks ago. Even today, when I hear a song or something, I'm listening to the singer. I'm watching the singer. I'm looking at his moves and his techniques and pitch and this and that and mic positioning, all these things. Same with guitar players. And Kurt would look at drummers and focus on them. This is just what our trained ear would go to. And, I remember seeing you there. That's where we met. That's how we met. And there'd be people playing there from all over the place, all over Chicagoland, like Thirsty Whale places. It was in the category. And I enjoyed it. That's what, is my foundation, really.
Well, and then it leads you to playing guitar, playing stuff. Tell me a little bit about Open Key Duo and the song Final Call. Where'd that come from?
So after we filmed all the episodes for Paranormal Cops, my buddy Austin and I, who was also on the show, he was also a cop in Stone Park, he discovered that I had a guitar sitting in my living room in Melrose. And he played the guitar, picked it up one day and started playing. It sounded good. I ran out. I didn't have any equipment anymore. I hadn't done anything musically in years. I ran out and I bought a bass guitar and an amp. And we started spending a gigantic amount of time together and writing our own music. And it was about subject matters that we understood at the time. At Paranormal, being cops, relationships, all of the, stuff. And one song in particular we wrote was called Final Call. And the bass line that I played that on, it was all formed upon the bass line. My daughter Gianna, when she was 8 years old, wanted to sit on my lap and play my bass guitar. And she came up with this little riff without knowing it, which turned into Final Call. That's where it began. And it's about fallen cop. And we put it on YouTube. And in 2011, we were contacted by the American Police Hall of Fame in Florida. They wanted us to come down there and play it live, and we did, and we were inducted into the Hall of Fame for that song. In 2013, we were contacted by the Officer Down Memorial page for all fallen cops in the United States in Washington, D.C. And in May, there's a week in May every year since 1962 that is National Police Week. And cops flock to Washington, D.C. from all over the world. And they flew us out to play in front of a crowd of 35,000 people to play that song. And it's a candlelight vigil to remember the fallen. And There have been other times where we've been contacted by cops all over the country and all over the world, other countries, asking permission to play that song at their fallen officer's funeral and services, saying he loved that song and now he is gone. Can we play it? So it had a nice reach within the law enforcement community. We didn't know if it would have been like a depressing song for people or whatever, but it brought us a lot of positive reactions. So Open Key, being Austin and I, went on for a few years. We'd play shows. We'd have meet and greets for the paranormal cops, and then we'd play music and stuff like that. We recorded about 5 songs properly. And, life takes twists and turns. And we found that life didn't afford us the time we needed to continue.
Sure.
More recently, not really recent, but I'd say within the last 5-6 years, Austin asked me if we could start up again and go out and start playing, and I didn't have the time. So he says, "You mind if I go on my own?" And he did. And he went into a genre of country music, which didn't really touch my heart. That genre is not near and
Yeah.
because music is emotion.
Right.
You got to feel it. And
Yeah, I agree with you.
yeah, that's
100%.
his roots.
100%.
He's from like Central Illinois, and he's
Yeah.
very good. And he went on America's Got Talent. He came in second place, and then he plays all over and he writes songs and he's collaborated with people, and he's had a successful run of it as well. But we may do something again in the future. Lord knows. It's hard to tell with like.
Well, you know what? It's very cool. The Final Call. I think you should probably re-release that again and send that out, especially to help the police officers right now in the mood. Crazy what's going on in this world. And you know what? Some people do you feel, Ron, as being a police officer, you go in the academy, you do what you got to do, you become a police officer, you get involved, you make your first arrest, or you make a couple arrests, then you realize that they're let go like 2 days later. There's no big deal. So it's almost like people almost like they kind of, that what they thought they were doing when they got into the job ends up being completely different. Is that something? Am I out of line there?
I would say just about every job on earth that we think it is, once you get it, it's not what you thought it was. I think that's true with a lot of jobs. But police work is primarily kind of what I thought it would be. The decisions of courts and attorneys and judges, their decisions, we don't always agree with them. A lot of times we don't agree with them. And you feel that you're spinning your wheels. You're not really accomplishing anything. But the truth remains that I don't got to go out of my way to try and lasso or apprehend every bad guy there is, because tomorrow there'll be new ones. They're everywhere. There's no shortage of assholes. And I did a lot of that. But in addition to that, I wanted to show people that we're humans too. I would tell guys on my shift, if you pull up in a residential area and there's 5-6 gangbangers there, introduce yourself by your first name. Not, "I'm Officer so-and-so." Don't walk up like a robot, like you got to stick up.
Yeah.
Be a person. The solution to so many problems is not handcuffing people and locking them up. Be a person. See if you can problem solve in the moment. Help. A lot of times we're very sterile. Listen, don't get me wrong. We got a wall up when we're on duty. It's our on duty, know. But sometimes you got to take that down just a little bit, not too much. But you got to remind people that we're people too. Before we were cops, we came from society. But it changes your perception of things once you take this job on. You look at everything differently. I tell every young cop, I go, within 2 years, you will be at a family party and you'll sit and look at all your relatives and you're going to have a thought in the back of your head saying, when did they all become so stupid? My God, they didn't change. You did.
Yeah, correct. They've been always the same. And then, growing up as we did, Elmwood Park, Melrose Park, every time being Italian, every time I go somewhere like out of the state or out of country sometimes, Italian, Chicago, bang, bang, mafia, Capone. I'm still getting that when we were in Louisiana, 4 or 5 months ago. I mean, Capone's been gone a long time, right? And it's just weird with the old Italian thing. Do you feel that way being Italian, Ron?
Oh, I have many, many times, especially now being out here in DuPage County, where things are a little bit more liquid paper white. And even when I started in Hinsdale, this is 1985. Hinsdale's a very rich town in DuPage County primarily. I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
I'm a neighborhood kid in Melrose
Yeah.
Park. Did I feel like a bit of an outcast? Yes, I was made to feel that.
Yeah.
Understand that. And people jump to conclusions, and that's fine. But like you say, living in Elmwood Park or Melrose Park, you didn't get your balls busted or judged by anybody because everybody's kind of like you. When you remove yourself, then you're in that different category. The way I dress or talk or whatever I do, my mannerisms. I got a cigar hanging out of my mouth usually.
Yeah.
But to me, listen, I'm 5'5", which is average height in Melrose Park. Okay, you leave Melrose, and then people look at you like you're a fire hydrant walking around. You know what I mean? So there are those stereotypical rush to judge type things, and sometimes you give people what they want to hear and you laugh, or you just play dumb. I don't know what you're talking.
You just go along with it. Yeah. Ron, also a couple of things besides music we have in common. I know you're a big cigar smoker. I smoke about 3 or 4 a day. You were the same way? Kind of same thing?
Well, I'll tell you what. They say they stunt your growth. If I didn't have these, I'd probably be 6'12". Okay. But I these at age 16. I got my driver's license on my birthday in 1980. Okay. I got my license. I already had my car. Kurt Savino's father, brother, and Kurt redid this car I had and made it look like new again. So I got my license, I had my car, and I went and bought my first pack of cigars. At that time, you go to White Hen, you go to Walgreens, there's not cigar shops around, but I knew I wanted to do it because my grandfather influenced me on those. He was a big cigar guy. And they've been with me ever since, the end of 1980. And moving forward, I would smoke these things anywhere. We'd go to Denny's on the midnight shift. You smoke the cigars in the back room at the court. You smoke cigars in the station, my squad car, in a lot of people's houses. Now you can't smoke them anywhere. So I chew on them more than I smoke them because I got to find a setting where I can actually light the damn thing, and they're few between. So cigar lounges, like I like to go to Ultimate Cigar in Villa Park, where Kurt and I filmed.
Yeah.
Where you're going to meet us one day soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hope you can enjoy the thing. Or when the weather breaks, I got a nice gazebo and a deck on the back of the house. More recently, I've said a certain room in my house here, she's redoing. She goes, if you want to sit and have a cigar, which I thought was fantastic. But I don't want the whole house to smell like that. I got to be considerate.
Yeah, right, too, because I don't smoke in the house, but I have outside, when we in the summer, we got the pool, sit back there, smoke cigars. I got it. It's a good thing. I like it a lot, too, and that's very important. Ron Fabiani with us, folks, here on Ocean's Pit, little show about big things. How about Armando's Supermarkets? Buy local, shop local, 925 Liberty Street in Elgin, Illinois. Danny Mazzi. Of course, let's not forget Crash Champions Collision Auto Repair. For all your collision auto repair needs, go to crashchampions.com. We got a couple more minutes left. We're going to stay with Ron the whole hour here. Ron, let's get to 2020 March. You're hearing about something called COVID-19. Everything's closed.
Yeah.
We're going to be down for like 2 weeks. All right. Maybe a little vacation will be good. Blah, 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 blah. Everything. And now years later, you go back, vaccinated, not vaccinated. If you watch this show or not, I have never been vaxxed, never will. Don't believe in it. I call it the flu, not COVID. But what was your thoughts?
Well, I saw everybody with different kinds of masks suddenly. And it reminded me of SARS, when you would see people walk around with masks and all of that stuff. And of course, it's not something that we're used to seeing or natural. Or I wasn't, I didn't dive deep into all of the science behind any of it. I just thought it was a little silly. I didn't really do anything different at all. And I never got sick. But when I started seeing, how it affected little kids with schools being shut down and people being paid to stay home and all of these other, the culture shifted. I think a work ethic shifted and and approaches at personal interactions shifted. And I think people got used to social media was just social. They were deleted the whole word media out of it because that was the new normal. I don't like the new normal. I had normal. I like a personal interaction. I'd rather talk to somebody than text them. I think texting is very impersonal.
Oh, I hate it too. Cause you ever know when you text somebody, you're trying to get something, you never know if they're telling you the truth. Oh man, can't make it tonight. You know, yeah, it's like, or something, because it's not that. I don't know why people pick up the phone and talk to
Right.
people. And I'm old school, just like you are. But and now being as a, we're now also when you were a police officer, you have to deal with different races, you have to deal with religion, you have to deal with politics, everything you had to go through. Um, and now, Ron, I mean, you have kids. How many kids
I
do you
have
have?
4 kids. I am in.
Okay.
Let me just say this real quick. I am in my happiest time of life. Um, I am in my third and last marriage. Okay, I just got married in September. Couldn't be happier. The most compatible person I've ever
Okay.
met in my life, and she puts up with me, and I appreciate that. I have 4 kids. Um, my oldest is 30. He's a policeman way out west in Illinois. And then so I have Frankie, Dominic, Gianna, and Gia. And yes, they're ethnic names, but what do you want from me? But
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Exactly. This is what I mean. The same thing. I'm on wife number 4. I've got 5 children.
okay,
And but when you see all this, being you used to be a police officer, now you're still with the DuPage of Forest Preserve, so you're still in that field with all the stuff going on right now, Ron. God, with the kids now, and they don't want to be mans anymore, and the girls, and it's like tampons in the men's dispense. I don't get it, but what does your children say growing up right now? What's going on in this world?
well, they're on the same page as I am, and we are conservative. We are not, liberal or think any of this stuff is okay. And I don't hide that. I don't run down the street with a Trump T-shirt on, but at the same time, what's normal and right is normal and right. And when priorities are diversity, equity, and inclusion, like in Los Angeles Fire Department, when that's your priority, you see
Yes.
the result because something else is not a priority. When your priorities are, we were taught, real quick, we were taught don't see color, don't judge people based on color. And it seems like the liberals are only judging people based on race. I don't understand that. And not to jump ahead, but real quick, something I just wanted to bring up about all of these fires in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was one of the questions I was going to ask you. I mean, deleting the fire department. I mean, that governor. I'm sorry, he's got a lot to do with this blame here. And what's your thoughts on it?
Well, there's a lot of thoughts about it. It's mismanagement. I think it's criminal. But if you think about California, and I don't know a lot about it, but I do know that it's loaded with bureaucracy. If you want to put up a privacy fence, it's going to take you, before you get your permit approved, 2 years. So if anybody's going to rebuild a house or a building that burnt down, how long is that going to? Because the permits are going to take forever to get approved. Nothing good is coming back anytime soon because they
No.
have bogged down their procedural things with so much red tape. You can't get anything done out there, and I don't know why anyone would. But
Ron, it makes sense. And there's now we said something yesterday on the show. There's landlords right now in LA in that area that people don't have homes. They have nowhere to go. And some of these people, some of these landlords and building owners are charging double, triple the rent, taking advantage of the people right now because now these people have nowhere to go. You want to live here? Here's a place, but it's going to cost you this. Even though it said it was this, we're going to
right.
double it, triple it, and take advantage of that. And that's horrible what's going on in this country.
Well, California applauds criminals. They applaud looting. They applaud shoplifting. They don't want to prosecute anybody. They applaud illegal immigration, everything that I completely disagree with. And they're shocked when they get shit results. You look at so many major cities that are run by Democrats and they got problems left and right. And, I could see if they had one or two legitimate ideas, one or two legitimate policies or something. I don't agree with anything that comes out of their mouth or anything they choose. And I can't relate to it.
I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. And let's just hope that things,
Fine. It's more than that.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. We got one last sponsor here, of course, as we closing the end of the hour. How about my good friends from Airtight Windows and Siding? If you're looking for new windows and you want it done right, do it right with Airtight. For honesty, quality, dependability, do it right with Airtight. Servicing Chicagoland area for 35 years. Do it right with Airtight Windows. Call Louis Pipes at 708-788-5000 and tell them Tony O sent you. That is Airtight Windows and Sidings. Buy local, shop local. We are coming to the end of the hour. Ron Fabiani, I want to thank you for being on the show, buddy. What an interesting life you had and still do. And, it's amazing. I hope your dad's doing great. Please give him my best and keep playing. Keep doing what you're doing. And I want to come out and see you and Kurt. We got to smoke some cigars. And if they want to listen to a final call for police officers or people just in general, where do they go for that?
Well, real quick, I just wanted to say right now I'm doing on YouTube, you go to Chicago Paranormal Cop. I'm doing the backstory of how we got to television and the backstory of all of our investigations. I do about one video a week. I just began last week. If you want to listen to song Final Call, you go to YouTube, Open Key Final Call. And there are other Open Key songs on there. There's a little bit of a catalog, not a lot, but everything's on YouTube. I'm on Facebook, Ron Fabs or Ron Fabiani, and keep your eye open for Paranormal Cops, the backstory.
That's very, very cool. I wish you the best of luck, my friend, and let's set up a time to me, you, and Kurt can sit down and smoke a few and have a couple. So give my best. Mr. Ron Fabiani, everybody. This is Ocean's Pit, little show about big things. But before we go, let's get to our good friends from Ace Hardware. Ace is the place. Buy local, shop local, folks. They have some great deals. Don't forget about servicing your snowblower, and all your Chicagoland JRC Ace Hardware stores offer repair and tune-ups and all makes and models. No appointment necessary. Get your snowblower to us. No problem. They offer you round trip pickup and delivery. Red Hot Buy of the Month, January Ace Wild Bird Food. 40-pound bag is only $18.99. And make sure your car is winter ready with Peak Windshield Wash. 1 gallon size is $1 off through January 31st. That's our friends from Ace Hardware. Ace is the place. Buy local, shop local. Download the Ace Rewards app. Easy way to keep track of your points, coupons, and special offers. Ace, helping neighbors before they were neighborhoods. Guys, Ron Fabiani, of course, was on the show. Tomorrow, Laura Ocean will be my co-host. It'll be fun. Don't forget Friday, Stephanie Lemonberger. I love the interview with Ron. It was a lot of fun going back, talking about some stuff. And, of course, protecting and backing the blue, which we always do on this show and any Tony Ocean show. So thank you again, Ron Fabiani. Guys, don't forget tonight we'll be at Bugsy's in McHenry. That's a 6 to 9 hit tonight with Jerry Jams. Tomorrow we'll be at Gigi's Are We Live in Burr Ridge, 7 o'clock. Friday, Chicago Prime Steakhouse in Schaumburg. That's an 8 o'clock hit with Double T Tony Toto. Saturday, Bocce dinner tournament in Highwood is sold out. And Sunday, Ron Onesti's Club Arcada Speakeasy for Rat Pack Sunday. That's a 3:30 hit. For tickets, go to oshows.com. More stuff to talk about tomorrow, folks. But before that, how about birthdays for Wednesday, January 15th? Soupy Sales, great comic, old school comic. Philip Rose, of course, he was one of the original lead singers. He was the Indian with the Village People, celebrating a birthday. Ray Bolger played the Scarecrow on The Wizard of Oz, celebrating a birthday. Robert Stack from the TV show Untouchables. He was also in the movie Airplane, celebrating a birthday. Rachel Rodriguez, from all you WWE fans out there, 34 years old. You got to love it, folks. Man, I just love some of this stuff. Patrick Dempsey, actor, 59 years old. David Johansen, used to be with the New York Dolls, also known as Buster Poindexter, celebrating a birthday. Geezer Butler from Black Sabbath turned 75 years old. Richard Dean Anderson, MacGyver, 74 years old. Carl Weathers, Apollo Creed, celebrating a birthday, guys. It is time for us to go. Remember, buy local, shop local, support local establishments, support live entertainment. Be kind to everybody right now. It's a tough world out there, man. Just be cool. If you have any beefs, try to get rid of it. Life is too damn short. And that's all that matters, man. Thank you for watching the show. Please share it. Let everybody know about Ocean's Pit, the little show about big things, brought to you by our good friends from Ace Hardware, helping neighbors before they were neighborhoods. And the great words of Ringo Starr, peace and love. We need it now more than ever. God bless. Nixa Hodges, take us out. Bye-bye, everybody.
Time to go, it's the end of the show. See you later from town.
Bye-bye, everybody. God bless you.